Namaste everyone, I am Gyan and you are watching the session 5 of Java and Web, user-defined data types. In this video, we will learn about the private members of a class. We know that there are two types of data members for a given class. One is instance data members and other one is static data members. Instance data members are created separately for each object, but the static data members are common for each object. Here I and f are the data members, that is instance variables of the class add. And here by writing a1.i and a1.f, we are accessing instance variables of an object whose address is stored into the reference variable a1. And we are accessing these instance variables directly from the other class by using corresponding object of the class add. So a1.i, which is 5, plus a1.f, which is 4.7, result in float 9.7. Even we can change values of these instance variables directly by using reference of the object of the class add from the other class. So here by using the reference variable of the given object, we can change the instance variables of that object. Let me try this code practically. Open kelsey.java and this is the code. Here we are adding a1 plus I, that is 2, plus a1 plus f, that is 4.7, which will result in 6.7. Let me save and compile this code. Java C kelsey.java. It compiles fine, then run it java main. Since the class main contains the method main, it runs fine and printing 6.7. We can change the instance variables of a given object by using its reference variable. So by using the reference variable a1, we can change the instance variable of corresponding object. Write here a1.i is equal to 7 and then write here a1.f is equal to 3.2f. Now the instance variable I of the given object whose reference is stored into the reference variable a1 is not more 2 and the instance variable f of that object is not more 4.7. Now they are 7 and 3.2. So this expression will not more result in 6.7 but this expression will now result in 10.2. Let me save and compile this code. Java C kelsey.java. Compiles fine, they run it java main. It runs fine and printing 10.2. We have changed the instance variable of a given object by using its reference variable from the other class. Here we can say that the class main is the user of the class add. So someone else has created the class add and the class main is the user of the class add. The class main here belongs to rest of the world which are using the class add. So now what we want to hide these data members from the rest of the world, from the user of the class add. So that rest of the world, the user of the class add cannot use these data members directly. Let's go to the presentation and see how we can achieve this. To hide the data members from the rest of the world, we need a special keyword, a special modifier that is called private modifier. So these are the various modifiers we already seen in previous videos and now we are about to learn the private modifier. If we write private before the data member, doesn't matter it is instance or static, then that data members will not be available to rest of the world. The user of the class add cannot access these instance variables directly by using the object reference. Because these data members are private for the given object and cannot be used outside. So if we make instance variables of a class private, then we cannot access those members in other class just by using the object reference of that class. So by using just the reference of an object of class add, we cannot access its instance variables from the other class. Here we are hiding instance variables of the class add from the rest of the world. This process is called data hiding. So the instance variables of the class has been hidden from rest of the world and we cannot use it directly by using the object reference. So this process is called the data hiding. The private data of an object has been hidden from the rest of the world, has been hidden from the user of that object. Let me try this code practically. Open kelsey.java and make the data members of the class private. They are private instance members, means they will create it separately for each object and that will be private. Other classes cannot use these instance variables directly by using the reference of the given object. Write here private. So now two data members are private. Let me remove these codes. I don't want to change the values of I and f. Now save and compile it. Java C kelsey.java. Compiler throws the error. I has private access in add. So we cannot access the instance variable I directly by using the reference of the object. F has private access in add. Since f is also private, so we cannot use the instance variable f directly by using the reference of the given object. So by declaring the instance variables private, we made the class add completely unusable. Means what is the use of the class if you cannot use the data members of that class in the other class? So we need something more. Now the question is how to make it usable again. The answer is introduce a member function in class add. So here we will introduce a member function which is not private. And using that member function, the other classes, the other rest of the world, the user of the add can use the instance variables I and f. So here we have included the member function add which is not private. So this member function, this method can be called by other class by using the reference of the given object. Since the member function is not private, that's how we can call this member function in other class. Since this member function is not private, so we can call this method in the other class by using the reference of the given object. If the method belongs to the same class which contains the private members of a given class can be used directly in the method of that class. So here we can use I plus f directly. Even if the I and f are private, but we can use I and f directly in the method add because the method add belongs to the class add. And finally we can call the method add using the reference of that object. You know that I and f are the instance variables that will be created separately for each object. And in the method add, we are just writing I and f. We are not specifying whose I or whose f. There may be various objects which have separate I and separate f. So in this case we do not know whose I and whose f. The I and f belongs to that object whose reference variable is used to call the method add. Here we are using the reference variable a1 to call the method add. That's how here we are using I and f of an object whose reference is stored into the reference variable a1. So the I and f of an object whose address is contained inside the reference variable a1 gets added and then returned by this method. The value returned by the method add gets stored into the float variable f, and finally we are printing the float variable f which prints 9.7 because I was 5 and f was 4.7. So here you can see if you include a method called the member function add in the class add which is non-private, then we can use that method to access the private members of the class add in the other classes. The private members, that is data or functions, the methods can also be private. So the private members, that is data and functions, are accessible inside the member function of the same class. The private members I and f are accessible in the member function of the same class, but they are not accessible to the outside world. In the outside world, we cannot access it using a1.i or a1.f. Let me try to execute this code in a Java program. Open calc.java and right here add a method. Float, the method returning float, add and write return I plus f. And here instead of accessing the instance variables I and f directly by using the reference variable a1, call the method. Right here float f is equal to a1 dot add and print here f. So now it will print 6.7. Let me save and compile it. Java C calc.java compiles fine, then run it. Java main, it runs fine, printing 6.7. Just like private data members, that is instance variables or static variables, we can have also private methods, and the private methods are not accessible from the other classes. Here we can see we made the method add as private. So the private method cannot be called from the other class. Let me try this code in a Java program. Open calc.java and write here private. Now the method add is private. Remove these quotes. I don't want these quotes now. We are trying to access a method of class add which is private. So the compiler will throw an error. Let me save and compile this code. Java C calc.java. Compiler throws an error. Method add has private access in the class add. So we cannot write this statement. So how to use the method add in other class? In the same way, we use the private instance variables in the other class. So create the other method here. Float add1. Return type is float and method name is add1. Write here return and call the method add. So here we are calling the method add. Since the private method of a class can be called from the other method of the same class, whatever returned by the private method add will be returned by the method add1. In the other class, that is in the class main, that is in the user of the class add, write here a1.add1 because add1 is non-private. Method add is private. Now it will work fine. It will print 6.7. Let me save and compile it. Java C calc.c. It compiles fine. Then run it. Java main. It runs fine, printing 6.7. That's all for this video, guys. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe this channel if you are new and leave your valuable comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.